guys, welcome to my how to batch cocktails for takeaway video. My name is Kuba Korzynski and I work at BlackRock London. I'm this year's World Class GP finalist. It's been a really great pleasure to be a part of Imbibe Live online during Global Bar Week. Without further introductions, the aim of this video is to help you get a better understanding of the pre-batch cocktail design, their benefits and what are common mistakes and how to avoid them. At first, I'd like to say that in my opinion, the RTD shouldn't be seen as temporary solution but a part of much bigger concept, which will be also approached later on. We will discuss various key aspects of pre-batch cocktail design, but first a little bit of history. The story of RTDs reaches back as far as the invention of a bottle, around 100 BC in ancient Rome. And as we can probably assume that once the bottle was around, someone somewhere definitely used it to keep mixture of wine, spices and herbs or honey, so common for the antique world. While bottling various types of mixed drinks would slowly become commonplace throughout the history, the real boom happened in early 1600s, when settlers in Jamestown in the US built the first American glass smelting furnace and started producing glass for the growing market. Soon the glass bottle became very popular and became an element of a back bar of every tavern and inn. In mid-1800s, premixed bottled drinks have been gaining popularity across the Western Europe and must have been an industry standard in the USA, as both Harry Johnson's Bartender's Manual from 1882 and Jerry Thomas' Bartender's Guide list various recipes for pre-batched bottled cocktails. But it's Gilbert F. Hubline who pioneered commercially successful bottled cocktails by accident, when deciding to sell some unused gallons of batched martini and Manhattan cocktails in his father's restaurants in Connecticut. His products were consumed by the wealthy and elites, quickly becoming known as Hubline's Club Cocktail range. Club cocktails were a big business and enabled the Hubline family to expand their empire into other business ventures throughout the 20th century, with Hubline Incorporated being purchased by Grand Metropolitan and later merging with Diageo in 1997. Pre-batch cocktails have been slowly becoming an integral part of the bar craft for some time now, but in the past 10 years that we have seen a lot of development. Going from Mr. Lion and some exquisite mixes a few years back, through Fluid Movement and their cutting-edge tongue-in-cheek Ask Stevenson, to modern, innovative brands like Firewater, who are exploring the benefits of the actual bottle aging and use time as well as various innovative techniques as an ingredient. In this section, I will go through a few key points you need to consider while designing batch RTDs for takeaway. Of course, creating flavor profile, idea and inspirations are equally important, but I leave it to your imagination and creativity. However, I will leave a few example links to inspirational spaces. Let's think about the differences between cocktails made to the order and the pre-batched ones. First and foremost, you need to remember that you will be preparing greater quantities. Use it as an advantage. Big volumes are massive help while using more flavor-sensitive ingredients, in example saline solutions or acids, which I'll talk about more thoroughly in a while. That means you can very easily find perfect balance among flavors in your pre-batched beverage, and if something is wrong, mistakes happen, it will be a lot easier to fix it. Usually working with high quantities of pre-batched cocktails means prep ahead of service or sale. That's why we should always consider the influence time will have on our liquid. If you're designing a cocktail which will be sold or consumed almost straight away, you can pretty much go nuts with the ingredients. But if it will be living in your fridge for a bit, you should focus on how long your cocktail will remain unchanged in a vessel. Pretty much all fresh ingredients like fruit juices and purees don't like to sit in a bottle. After some time you'll notice visual differences followed by changes on the nose, taste and texture. Depending on the type of fruit you used, it will take 1 to 5 days in a fridge to get unwanted flavor, usually due to oxidation, which occurs after breaking up cell walls during juicing. I will tell you more about how to extend shelf life and how you can replace fresh fruit ingredients in your pre-batched cocktails without losing the flavor you are looking for in the next section. Of course, we can't forget about the upsides of prepping ahead. Using time as an ingredient can result in rather interesting and unusual creations. There is plenty of techniques which require longer preparation periods, such as infusion, the easiest way to introduce flavor into the liquid, maceration, percolation, and many more actions. You can barrel age your cocktail using different barrel finishes, which is some kind of infusion too. It's more of a show-off though. It will need more experience when working with quite big volume. Here's another perk. Because flavors are made up from various chemical components, they need more time to diffuse or dissolve in a mixture, and because they are rather large, they need more time. This is what we call marrying the flavors. It means the flavor will evolve and your cocktail will have more of a rounded profile. The next important, or even one of the most important aspects you should take into consideration is presentation. We eat with our eyes first. Make it look pretty to attract your guests. These days, better looking cocktail means more attention on social media, which will bring guests through your door or to your online store. At the beginning, find the visual aspects you'd like your creation to have. If you're into crystal clear drinks, you should try one of the clarification methods. Some of them require lab-grade equipment, but there is plenty of the ones you can execute at home or in your bar, including using protein, in example milk, and acid, or using agar-agar as a vegan option. Filtration using different types of filters is also a solution. Using organic acids instead of, for example, vinegars or citrus juice will also come handy. Let's talk color now. However, there is many various high-quality artificial food colorants. I've always preferred natural pigments. You can modify the color of your cocktail by using infusion, adding colorful syrups or cordials, or using bitters of some sort. Keep in mind that various fresh ingredients require different treatments. For example, fresh herbs don't like high temperatures. It's better to extract the flavors and colors, for example, using an old French technique called enfleurage. It's basically capturing the fragrance in fat, or using nitrous infusion with a cream siphon. Let's move to smart ingredient management. Good thing to do is to think about your waste. There is many things we usually throw away that we can actually reuse. We can check out the ideas from Trash Tiki, they are pretty nifty. Giving a second life to your ingredients will help you build profit just because they are free, made out of waste. Of course, it will be quite difficult to turn an empty tin into a cocktail ingredient, but you can try to use it as a planter. Finally, after all these points, it's time to talk about the most important one, the customer experience. We have a couple of things to consider here. The easiness. Remember, as much as the prep can be as complicated as you wish, the serve should be hassle-free and easy to understand for everybody. You should consider multiple ways of serving your cocktail by, for example, freezing it into slush or topping it up with soda of some sort, creating a completely different experience. Wider possibilities and creativity will attract more customers. There are many schools how to engage your customer. In here, I'd like you to meet my friend Piotr from Firewater Workshop, the consultants and producers of pre-batch cocktails for retail and trade. Piotr, maybe you could tell us a bit more about how to make your creations more customer-friendly.
Well, sure. Firstly, I'd take a good look at the way we present our pre-batch drinks. It's true when it comes to takeaway, it might be less essential than when working with products for retail, but we should still consider it as an integral part of cocktail design. Whether it's the clarity and the color of your liquid or the presentation of the actual vessel, it all matters just as it does when we make the drinks for our guests at the bar.
Amazing. Anything else?
Yeah, the other thing that's worth our attention is the actual range of flavors we are working with. While we can use very original and curious ingredients at some bars on an everyday basis, flavors for RTDs should be carefully selected, taking into account how comfortable would the consumers be to try it without being able to ask questions. Bear in mind, we do not have the assistance of a server here.
Anything about the naming? Or...
Yes, that actually takes us into the aspect of naming of your drinks as well. I've heard some original, fantastic, curious names for cocktails and I love them all, but we must remember that again, we don't have the luxury of having a server assisting the guest. So it is advisable to make sure the names of the drinks are approachable, where possible meaningful and understandable.
That's great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Benefits. Again, we have few aspects to talk about in this paragraph. At the beginning, I'd like to add one more thing about using time as an ingredient. Basically, more time means better thought-through creations. Working with high volumes of drinks creates the perfect opportunity for a greater degree of quality control. It's way easier to keep big bulks consistent. Because of the used quantities, the stock management is improved, which means uninterrupted production flow by eliminating running off of ingredients. Big quantities may come helpful with smarter budget planning too. If you're selling your drinks outside your venue, it means more people will see and try them, so it's creating new possibilities in markets. Pre-batching helps with time and labor management too. If you're playing it right, it will keep your work smarter and not harder by, for example, creating in-house production chains or basically outsourcing it. That brings us to the quite important benefit, circular economy. In simple terms, this aspect of sustainability is carrying an ocean of new possibilities. It means creating collaborations, joint projects, production chains and many more. It provides greater support, allowing whole groups to grow stronger together, creating careers, business opportunities and a whole wide range of good stuff. Mistakes. They happen to everyone every day. In this part, I'll tell you what are the common ones and how to avoid them. I think it's worth saying that I've learned many of them the hard way. I've tasted a fair amount of failed experiments and I think this gives me an obligation to warn you. But don't get discouraged. Most of great inventions started with even greater fails. For starters, fresh fruit juice. As I said before, using it in a pre-batch cocktail may not have the best results. But don't you worry, I'm bringing you the best possible, in my opinion at least, fix for this issue. Organic acids. Citric, malic, tartaric, acetic and ascorbic. While using these ingredients, you will be able to recreate acidity profile of wanted fruit. For instance, a lemon contains mostly citric and ascorbic acids and the rest is pretty much 2-to-1. Pineapple has citric and malic acid responsible for respectively 60 and 30% of all organic acids in this fruit. To make this actually tasting fruity, we need to add actual fruit flavor by, for example, infusing liquids with dehydrated fruits. It will give the flavor to the liquid and keep the solids away from it, keeping it clear with longer shelf life. Some of the fruits are really hard to extract the flavor from without drying them. The best example? Banana. One option to actually introduce its fresh flavor is to play with stuff like Pectinex, which will also strip your banana from some of its notes. The easier method is to simply dehydrate it in a food dehydrator or home oven into chips and then infuse it into your drink. This is bringing us to the next point, emulsifiers. If you like piña coladas, you should get to know your emulsions better. What is an emulsion? Long story short, it's a mixture of two or more substances which are unmixable in certain conditions. How it looks in real life? Everyone knows what happens to your blended cocktail after a few minutes in a glass. Unfortunately, the same will happen to your pre-batch cocktail unless you use some sort of emulsifier or emulgent like lecithin, locust bean or xanthan gum. It will increase its kinetic stability, preventing separation of the liquids. There are various other techniques which can help to prolong the shelf life of your batches. Sterilization of your utensils and vessel, either with use of boiling water or antibacterial products, will take you a long way. Many ingredients or even finished batches can be pasteurized by simmering them for as little as 15 seconds at the minimum of 72 degrees Celsius. This of course is a quick option, but trust me, it works. Additionally, very fine filtration, sometimes adding something to help break cell walls in the liquid, like Pectinex, and filtering the kicked out solids can be a great idea. Remember that the clearer your liquid is, the bigger the chance it will not spoil. Lastly, you can add various compounds to help the batch keep its color, even when using, for example, fresh herbs or fruits in ingredient preparation. Antioxidants like ascorbic acids are another option to try. A small amount goes a long way too. It's always helpful to keep your measuring instruments well calibrated and maintained to assure consistency. Try to use the same utensils while batching. If they are wrong the same every time. To close up this section, I'd like to leave you a reminder. Not following food safety rules and falling into bad work habits may cause a lot of damage. To avoid it, keep records of all of your operations and ensure you're all comfortable with used equipment and techniques. One last thing. At the beginning I said that RTDs should be considered as a part of something bigger, more than a temporary solution for difficult times. They should help us expand the cocktail experience to outside of our bars and show our guests and customers that they can enjoy bar quality drinks at home with friends. This will help build up a better cocktail culture and encourage people to look for more, craving for new sensations. Thanks for watching my How to Make and Pre-Batch Cocktails for Takeaway video gang. I hope it's fulfilled the purpose and made you understand pre-batch cocktails better. Great thank you to Imbibe Live Online for invitation to be a part of Global Bar Week. It's been an honor. If you have any follow-up questions, you can find my email address at the very end, along with few links to the useful inspirational websites. Bye bye!